So, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the newest Game of Thrones spin-off show coming next month. It's based off of this short story called The Hedge Knight. And a lot of people over the weekend have been leaving me comments saying, what is a hedge knight exactly? Can you explain? I think the easiest way to put it is to say that hedge knights they're like freelance knights. They can roam, they can go where they want. They are not necessarily tied to one particular house. Say, for example, you are born into a house that serves the Starks of Winterfell. Say you're a northern house and you are going to inherit land. That is a landed knight. So you have more reason to honour your liege lord because your power, your success, your money comes from their approval. If you wanted to become a hedge knight, you could literally do that as a member of the common peasantry. You don't have to be part of the nobility. Anyone can be a hedge knight. You can choose to serve whoever you want, and you can choose to move on at any time. Now, the risk is that if you were to move on, you might not find somewhere else to serve. At least not straight away. Hedge knights are called hedge knights because a lot of the time they would sleep out in the open underneath hedges because they don't have a home of their own. They don't have their own keep. There's a vulnerability about being a hedge knight. You don't have that sort of traditional safety net that other types of knights have, especially ones that have land that is passed down through the generations. But on the flip side, by being a hedge knight, you get to choose who you give your service to, who you are loyal to. If you don't like someone, you don't have to stay there. You can move on to greener pastures. A lot of people look down their noses at hedge knights like they're not good enough, like they are not real knights, that they are not worthy of being called knights. The irony is, and this is said by Sir Arlan of Pennytree to Sir Duncan the Tall, hedge knights, actually, you could say we are more honourable than any other kind of knight because we choose to serve somebody willingly. But there's a downside, because if you're seen to be somebody who could just move on at the drop of a hat, some hedge knights are looked on as unreliable, as only out for themselves, as not actually being all that honourable. As with anything, you get good hedge knights and you get bad hedge knights. And Dunk has to basically fight against this prejudice. He's like, yeah, I may be a commoner. I come from literally nothing. I'm not attached to a great house. I don't have a family. I don't have riches. I don't have land. But it doesn't mean that Dunk can't be the greatest type of knight of the Seven Kingdoms that ever lived. Now, there are some hedge knights that go from place to place and feed into that narrative of hedge knights being flaky or unreliable because they're going from place to place looking for the best opportunity for themselves. If you are a peasant, a commoner, part of the small folk, yes, there are some trades open to you, but there's not that many opportunities. But being a hedge knight, that could be your key to moving on up, social upward mobility. And this is why Sir Duncan the Tall is going to the tourney in this first season of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. He's going there because a lot of hedge knights will flock to tourneys because this is a chance. We might win. You never know. What's the worst that can happen? Even if you don't win, you might prove yourself to a noble lord who might accept you into their service. And that could be your leg up into greater and better things. A lot of hedge knights in Westeros flock to these tourneys because this is their chance to try and hit the jackpot. And that's what Dunk's doing. He's hoping that he can make some money out of this, that he can get a good reputation, that people will start to know his name. It's all about networking. But by being a hedge knight, Dunk has that discretion. If he sees someone who is clearly an awful person, he doesn't have to serve them. There's not necessarily a sense of obligation as it would be in other ways of being knights. But Dunk, he's a perfect example of choosing your path and choosing people that you want to give your loyalty to. I think the thing I love the most about not just Dunk's story, but just hedge knights in general, it's the chance for regular people to make something out of their lives. In Westeros, in this medieval society, there's not that many opportunities that are handed to people. So in Dunk's case, that's why he seizes on this opportunity at this tourney. And he's like, I've got to put my everything into this. This is my chance. Because you never know what's round the corner as a hedge knight. Maybe it will be bigger and better things, or maybe you'll fall on hard times. That's the risk you take as a hedge knight. but you have your own mind, you have your own decision-making process, and you have your own independence. And that is seen as a price worth paying.